It's time for RiffTrax.
Oh, Coronet, of course you're trustworthy. We've seen dozens of your films and you haven't steered us wrong yet. Except for Measuring Man. That was pretty sick.
Yeah, what the hell, Coronet?
Ah, the 50s, when tween girls dressed like elderly Russian babushkas.
Did you ever feel as if you've been left out? Well, that's when it really hurts. When no one understands that you'd do a good job if you had a chance.
Despite your long,
That
almost
would make
criminal
good.
history of
You feel
things up.
pretty low when you've been left out. That's the way it was with Eddie Johnson. And this is his story. A story about the importance of trustworthiness.
Ancient Greeks got the stories of Zeus, Athena, and Hercules. We get the story of Eddie Johnson.
Well, hi, Eddie.
Hello, Dad.
Still unemployed and
Please,
drinking?
Well, you're kind of late, and Mother was counting on you fixing this lamp, so I thought I'd better do it and have it ready. Is anything wrong, son?
No.
Can my being weirdly tan
Come on,
help?
You can trust me with your troubles, can't you, Eddie?
Why does everybody keep talking about trusting people? They elected Bob the treasurer of our club because he was trustworthy. And me? They put me on the cleanup committee.
Said I'm personally
I wouldn't have
responsible for all
stolen their
puke,
money.
urine, and feces
What's all
cleanup.
this
This seems
about
like a
being
bit much.
trustworthy?
Wait a minute. It can't be that bad. Let's start from the beginning. Tell me what happened.
Well,
Whoa, an Eddie Johnson story
I've
within
been in
the
our
Eddie
house
Johnson
for
story.
about
This is
3
Eddie
years
Johnson
now,
Inception.
and I wanted to be treasurer. I should have been, too. But at our meeting today,
And this is Eddie Johnson's story.
We were already
The
in
story
Eddie
of a
Johnson's
boy who had
story.
his
Stop
heart
playing
set
with
on
our
being
heads.
treasurer of his club. Of course, there wasn't any real reason for Eddie to be elected, but like most of us, he just hoped. He hoped someone would nominate him. But whose name do you think they thought of first?
Henry Slinkman? Just
Bob
blue
West,
skying, guys.
one of Eddie's best friends. Jim Small was nominated, too. And Mary Burns.
Mary's lack of a double monosyllabic name would hurt her chances, of
Eddie?
course.
Well, no one even thought to mention Eddie. And you can't nominate yourself, even when you want the job.
Eddie's Tootsie Roll
So
bribes
before
had
Eddie
failed.
knew it, the nominations were closed. And when the voting was over, Bob had won. They said he was elected because he was so trustworthy.
But it was really because his
Why
family's
should they
house
think
had a
of
pool.
Bob as trustworthy and not Eddie.
well, I'm not going to do any work in the cleanup committee. Why should they say he's trustworthy, Dad?
Is
What's
this
being
still
trustworthy
part
got
of the
to do
Eddie
with being a
Johnson
treasurer?
story? Can we
Eddie,
get some
A
clarification?
treasurer certainly must be trustworthy. But being trustworthy is pretty important to all of us in almost everything we do.
Almost
If you
everything?
think of the
Yeah,
things
giving
you
himself a
do
loophole
every
here since he's
day,
cheating on Eddie's mom.
I'm sure you'll see the important part that trustworthiness plays in helping us to get along with others. Take school, for example.
School with its
We all
insanely
depend on
detailed
teachers
blackboard
to fulfill
lessons.
Their trust to the parents and all the boys and girls to do a good job of teaching, just as all the boys and girls must keep trust with their teachers to prepare their lessons every day.
And to never question the
That's how
meaning of this
trustworthiness is
crushing
important at
routine.
school. And what about trustworthiness with your friends? You're willing to lend something when you can trust a friend to return it.
Like the Romans
And your
trusted
friends
Mark
trust
Antony
you
to return their
to take
ears.
good care of the things you borrow. Being trustworthy with your friends is mighty important. And how about trustworthiness with the different groups of people you meet all around you?
The crabby, suspicious
trust
grocer,
the man in the
the
store
neighborhood
to
creep
sell
who
you
wears a
fresh
raincoat
things
with
of
no
good
pants.
quality, and
And
the
the literal saddest woman in the world.
My God.
That helps us all to live together well, doesn't it? So, trustworthiness with groups is important too.
Helmets are for pussies!
Concussions roll!
Even in the home, trustworthiness makes it easier to get along.
But I've never taken anything that I shouldn't have, or robbed anyone.
If you don't count the
I'm
Lufthansa
trustworthy.
heist, but I was young, just a
Well,
getaway driver.
Let's see. I've always noticed that people have to show they can be trusted with little things before they can be trusted with big things.
Remember when you asked for
Just
sea
like,
monkeys and then you
well,
let them die,
Doing what
son?
you say you will.
Like fixing the lamp, for instance?
Yes, fixing a lamp, for instance.
Did it ever occur to you and Mom that I am not trained in small electronics
Come to
repair?
think of it, Bob is a good choice for treasurer. I can see where he has proved his trustworthiness. I was just remembering.
Another Eddie Johnson
Just
story!
Remembering that Bob shows he can be trusted to do little things.
Like impose an
You can
enemies
always
list.
be sure, for example, that when he says he'll prepare a class report, he'll stick to it and do a good job, even when it might be more fun to do something else.
Like ping pong in church clothes.
That's not a very big thing, but it has helped make Bob known for being trustworthy. At the charge-out desk, Bob helps out at regular times.
No one can stop
He
him.
always
He's very
remembers to
aggressive.
be on the job when he's supposed to. Being on time may seem a little thing, too. But it's another important way to show that you're trustworthy.
That's an easy job. The
And
only kid's
everybody
book
knows
back
that
then
Bob
was
has had
Old Yeller.
experience handling money and keeping accounts. People are willing to trust someone who has proved he can do the job.
Does not apply to politics.
Yes, all these little things have given Bob a reputation for always keeping whatever trust he accepts.
People do trust Bob. He deserved to be treasurer, all right. But how can I learn to be trustworthy, too?
Let's focus on your
By
cow
showing
lick
that he can be
first,
trusted
son.
in little things, Bob was trusted in big things, too. Perhaps that's the way.
That's what I'm going to do.
Kill Bob
I
and wear
guess
his
being
skin.
trustworthy
Yeah,
is
what?
pretty
No!
important. And I'm taking that job on the cleanup committee.
Good, it worked.
Yeah.
Drop out of school and become an electrician. You'll be better off. You really will be.
You know, I have a lot of trusts already. Most of them little, but I never thought of them as trusts before.
Like my copy of Elvis Costello's Trust.
At school, at home, with friends, and I'm gonna make sure I keep them.
Smash cut to Eddie in jail for robbing the club treasury.
Being trustworthy includes a lot. From now on, Eddie is going to keep trust by getting to school on time. And he's going to prepare his lessons every day.
Everything can be
Those
about
are good
trustworthiness
ways to be trustworthy
if
at
you
school,
force it.
aren't they? And think of the trust you have at home. Eddie is going to do a good job when he says he'll help with the work around the house.
Like putting fresh
And he'll make
plastic on
sure
the
to take good
furniture.
care of all the things he's responsible for. That's the way to be trustworthy at home, isn't it?
Vacuuming equals
How about
trustworthy.
being
Got
trustworthy
it.
with friends? Well, after this, when Eddie wants to borrow something from friends, he's going to be certain they know he'll return it, and he'll take good care of it.
Their fake
That's
Rolexes net
one
the
way
club
to
a
be
cool
trustworthy
$3 million
with
a
your
year.
friends. And what about groups? Well, Eddie has a trust with the hobby club to do his job. But sometimes cleaning up is much fun. Why not play darts instead?
Their clubhouse is cooler than my
No one
house.
around, no one would know the difference. The cleaning could be done later. But what was that Dad said?
Eddie, you were a mistake.
People have to show they can be trusted with little things if they want to be trusted with big ones.
Huge mistake.
That's right. From now on, Eddie can be counted on to keep his trust with groups. That's the way a good group keeps going. Each member must keep trust.
Eddie, what the hell kind of club is this?
Not sure the winds of winter was worth the wait, George.
Hi, Dad.
Hi, Eddie. What do you got there?
Manifesto.
Chart on trustworthiness, with all the things we talked about on it. I've been finding out how important trustworthiness really is. And you know, Dad, you can find it everywhere.
Used car dealerships, MLMs, Mark Zuckerberg's
Things you do
house.
and-
And look, Dad, here's what trustworthiness means. Here's what you have to do. To be trustworthy, keep your word.
Dad's already off
play
pouring a
fair,
martini. Sure,
do a
son.
good job, and be on time.
That sounds very good, Eddie.
Dad
You know,
works as
Dad,
a
it
morning
really
zoo
works.
DJ.
I've been offered the job at the library desk in our club room. That's the job Bob had before he became treasurer.
Time for a bloody coup.
Well, that's how Eddie Johnson learned something about trustworthiness. And what about you?
If I show you something, can I trust you not to go to the cops?
Remember, when you show you're trustworthy in little things, you'll be trusted with big things. And that's the way to gain a reputation for being trustworthy.
I spilled Cheese Whiz on the page where George kills Lenny.
Coronet, as of 2020, now the second worst thing to begin with Coro.
It's time for RiffTrax.
Copyright by RiffTrax, all rights reserved.